The rain pounded against the cobblestone streets of Paris, a relentless drumbeat that drowned out the usual hum of the city. In the dim glow of a street lamp, Elise stood frozen, her heart racing as she clutched a crumpled letter in her trembling hands. The ink was smudged, the words barely legible, but one line burned into her mind. "Meet me at midnight or we lose everything." The note wasn't signed, but she knew exactly who had written it. She hadn't seen him in 5 years, not since the night he vanished without a word, leaving her shattered and alone. Now, with the clock ticking toward midnight, Elise faced a choice: ignore the note and protect her heart, or risk everything for answers. Her breath hitched as she glanced at her watch. 10 minutes to go. The rain stung her face as she made her decision and ran toward the Pont des Arts, the bridge where they'd once promised each other forever. 5 years earlier, Elise and Julien were inseparable. She was a painter, her canvases bursting with the colors of her emotions, and he was a musician, his melodies weaving stories that made her heart soar. They met by chance at a tiny cafe in Montmartre when Julien's guitar case knocked over her easel, scattering her sketches across the floor. His apology turned into coffee. Coffee turned into late-night walks, and soon they were dreaming of a life together. On the Pont des Arts, under a sky full of stars, they locked a padlock engraved with their initials and threw the key into the Seine, sealing their love. But love, Elise learned, wasn't always enough. Julien's music career began to take off, pulling him into a world of late-night gigs and distant cities. He grew restless, his smiles rarer, his promises vaguer. One night, after a fight about his constant absences, he left. No note, no explanation, just an empty apartment and a void in her chest. Elise spent months painting through her grief, her vibrant colors fading to grays and blues. She swore she'd never let herself love like that again. Now, as she raced through the rain-soaked streets, those old wounds reopened. The bridge loomed ahead, its iron lattice glistening under the streetlights. Her shoes slipped on the wet pavement, but she didn't stop. What did Julien want after all this time? Why now? The note's urgency gnawed at her, hinting at something bigger than their past. As she reached the bridge, she saw him, a lone figure leaning against the railing, his dark coat slick with rain. Julien looked older, his face etched with lines she didn't recognize, but his eyes still held that familiar fire. "Elise," he said, his voice low, almost lost in the storm. "You came." She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she held up the note, her hand shaking. "What is this, Julien? Why am I here?" He stepped closer, and for a moment, she thought he might reach for her. But he didn't. "It's not what you think," he said. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left to protect you." Her breath stopped. Protect her? From what? Julien's eyes darted to the shadows, as if expecting someone to emerge. 5 years ago, I got involved with the wrong people, he said. I owed money. Too much. They threatened you, Elise. The only way to keep you safe was to disappear. Her mind reeled. All those nights she'd blamed herself, thinking she wasn't enough and he'd been running from danger. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Julien's jaw tightened. Because you'd have tried to fix it, and they'd have hurt you. He pulled a small key from his pocket. The key to their padlock, the one they'd thrown into the river. I went back for it, he said. Dived into the Seine until I found it. It was all I had left of you. Tears mixed with the rain on Elise's cheeks. She wanted to hate him, but the truth was unraveling her defenses. There's more, Julien said, his voice urgent. They're still after me. I've been hiding, but they found me again. Tonight I can end it. I have what they want. But I needed to see you first, to explain, to ask you to forgive me. Before she could respond, headlights cut through the rain. A black car screeched to a stop at the end of the bridge. Julien grabbed her hand. Elise, go. Now. But she didn't move. She'd spent 5 years running from the pain he'd left behind. She wasn't running anymore. The car doors opened and 2 men stepped out, their faces hidden by the storm. Julian pulled a USB drive from his coat and pressed it into her hand. This is what they want. Evidence. If anything happens to me, get it to the police. Her heart pounded as the men approached, their steps deliberate. Julian, I'm not leaving you, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. For the first time in years, she felt alive, tethered to him in a way she thought she'd lost. What happened next was a blur. Julian shouted, the men lunged, and Elise acted on instinct. She threw the USB drive into the Seine, watching it vanish into the dark water. The men froze, stunned, and Julian seized the moment, pulling her away. They ran, the rain swallowing their footsteps, until they collapsed in an alley, breathless but alive. The men didn't follow. Without the drive, there was nothing to chase. As the storm quieted, Elise and Julian sat in silence, their hands still entwined. You shouldn't have done that, he said, but there was no anger in his voice. I had to, she replied. I lost you once. I wasn't losing you again. He looked at her, and for the first time, she saw the boy from the cafe, the one who'd made her believe in love. I don't deserve you, he whispered. She smiled, brushing rain from his face. Maybe not, but we're here now. They didn't return to the bridge that night, or to the padlock that still hung there, rusted but unbroken. Instead, they walked into the city, 2 shadows in the rain, ready to face whatever came next. The key to their past rested in Julian's pocket, a reminder that some promises, once made, could never be undone. And as the first light of dawn broke over Paris, Elise knew one thing for certain. Their story wasn't over. It was just beginning again.